All right, guys, welcome back to the Short Story Long podcast. I'm your host, Sam Derrickson, joined by my co-host, Andrew Dial.
What's going on, guys?
So, again, it's been a while since we've been down here, but...
Yeah, you can tell because this table's covered in shit. We didn't even clean it off for this podcast.
Didn't even clean the table, which if we had a video podcast, I probably would have cleaned it, but no one's going to see this. So
exactly.
Face
for radio.
Yeah, so we're back from... I guess Christmas break, if you will.
Well, Thanksgiving. When did we do the last one of these? It was after the gun auction, which I don't...
Hot minute.
So, last podcast of 2024.
It is indeed, because we've been through Christmas and...
Oh my gosh. So, oh wow. Sam's gas station discount booze is a Buzzballs. It is a strawberryta, and it tastes like the popsicles you get in the bags, but somebody dumped rubbing alcohol in that shit.
So I told Dozer, I said, you can have any beer you want as long as it's Corona, a.k.a. this Buzzball. It's some bullshit I got at Casey's
It's
like a long time ago.
It's rough around the edges, and in case anybody was... In case anybody put hair on your chest.
It's not that bad.
I told Emma the other day, I forgot what I was eating something or was eating some kind of food. She goes, "Why do you eat that?" I said, "Put hair on your chest." Oh, I was eating vinegar and sea salt chips.
Those are good.
Yeah. She's like, "Why do you like those?" I'm like, "They'll put hair on your chest." And she's like, "Well, I am not eating those.
I don't need any of that. Thank you." Yeah.
She's like, "No, thank you." So, yeah, and for those keeping score, we still have poverty twisted teas that also
the last two.
We're about to kill them. That's how you know we've not been podcasting. It's taken us 6 months to drink a 12-pack of twisted teas.
Which, in all fairness, we've deleted plenty at your shop.
Oh yeah.
So you have to look forward to after the strawberry Rita Buzzball. You have a poverty tea to look forward to.
I hate this fucking podcast.
We should have had like a couple of regular beers first and then slipped into these, but we do everything backwards.
Speaking of slipping into beers, so my dad is, found out he's diabetic and everything, which only minorly relates to this.
Okay.
So Jason was wanting a deer and to butcher and eat.
Okay.
So I shot him one, and Jason lives conveniently enough, in between my hunting ground and my house.
Sure.
So I said, "Hey, coming in hot, going to drop a deer off. Sounds good." So we pull in, unload the deer, and my dad's like, "Got any beer?" And Jason's like, "Yeah, well, I got stag." And Dad's like, "I'd take one of them stags." While we're sitting there bullshitting, Jason's like, "Well, I've only got tall boys." And my dad's like, "Sure, why not?"
Where do you get tall boys as stag?
They started carrying them somewhere
Steve's?
locally. I don't know exactly. And not at Steve's. He won't shop at Steve's. It's like 13 more cents. So he drives.
It's actually cheaper, at least for twisted teas. It's $1 cheaper for a 12.
I've noticed Steve's is a little bit cheaper than like DJ's.
It's way cheaper than Jack Flash in Altamont.
So I don't know. Jason, he's just Jason. So,
You gonna make it?
yeah. I forgot. Oh, so yeah, my dad drank that and he's like, "Ben, this ain't bad." And Jason's like, "See? And you even got the diabetes now. That's diabetes beer." So everything's going full circle for old Tom.
Did he used to drink stag or?
My dad? No. He used to drink Budweiser.
That's right. What the hell is that noise? I think that's your mic.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely your mic.
Well,
see if I can.
Can you adjust where it plugs in or something?
I'm gonna try to do some things.
Well, we got every fucking heater and appliance running in this basement, so.
I shut off all of the appliances.
There you go. There. Do you need me to me?
No, I need you to shut up.
Okay.
Okay, how's that?
I don't know. Am I allowed to talk?
Yeah, you can talk now.
All right, we're back.
I was trying to get rid of the furnace sound, and you're making a bunch of mouth noises in my ears. Anyway, sorry for that technical difficulty.
Oh, did you record that or no?
Yeah, it's recorded.
Okay.
I can cut it out later, but
No, just leave it. It's raw berry.
Sure. Anyway, I have finished my strawberryta. Speaking
Wow,
of,
you're more of a man than I am.
well, you've been talking. So, coming off of Christmas, how did Santa Claus find you, sir?
Well, I guess for the most part, nothing super notable. Kids got gifts. For the dial Christmas, I got like the 24-hour flu, so I just went home and laid in bed and shit my brains out through that project.
Okay, that's been going around. A lot of people have that.
I've had worse. And yeah, I'm trying to think how far back. I don't think I talked about going to Moonlight.
You have not.
So we went over to Moonlight Racing, which is about 30 miles, 40 miles outside of St. Louis on 44. And that was cool. It was a good day trip. It's almost too far for a day trip. It's the same driving time as Badlands, but it's like 30 more miles.
Okay.
And we got there. It was the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And started to snow while we were there. That's cool. We're snow wheeling. Well, then it started to snow more and more and more. And I was like, oh, well, we got to drive home in this. And that got kind of sketchy driving home in the snow. What happened is it started like black icing.
That's never good.
And I went over a bridge by Highland by the rest area, and the old truck and trailer and Jeep were sideways going down the interstate.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That ain't good.
So I started, what happened is there was a camper pulled over to the side, which I'm going to guess he had the same experience. And I was moving over to give him room while I moved over on the bridge.
Ooh.
That was the mistake.
Sure.
So that got a little crazy. Well, I decided, from now on, I'm going to let off the gas as I go over bridges. Just coast over them. Well, it made it worse.
Yeah. Because your exhaust brake was on.
Because my exhaust brake was on. And I was smart enough to realize that, so I turned my exhaust brake off, and then it got better.
So, fun fact. The truck...
Did I tell you that, or did you just know that?
No, you didn't tell me that. I just knew that because
you're so smart.
I've driven
That truck.
that truck and my dually at the same time. Fun fact, that truck that you drove was hauled home in a snowstorm of similar quality with at the time, Effingham Builder Supply trailer only had surge brakes with Dean Willenberg's second-gen Cummins loaded backwards on the tilt deck trailer. And it was ditch to ditch a few times coming home. So that truck is used to some sketchy ice situations, just so you know.
It got me home. We were kind of going sideways down the interstate. I got straightened back out. I said, "You good back there, Wyatt?" And his eyes were just about the size of tennis balls. He's like, "Let's not do that again." I'm like, "We're trying."
Copy that.
Yeah, we're trying. Well, so then I locked my hubs to get out of Moonlight because you got to wheel out of that place.
Sure. It's a pretty steep hike to get out of the hill.
I leave my hubs locked in because it's still snowing all the way to town, which it's sketchy through there. There's some real damn nice establishments between there and the interstate.
Yep.
Pretty rough. And I get to the interstate. I was like, we're smooth sailing now. So I get out and unlock my hubs. And should not have done that.
Yeah.
Should have left the old hubs locked in because I was in two-wheel drive the whole way home. But yeah, so we wheeled at Moonlight, and that was a pretty good time. One of the notable things is Eric has a JK that is on 37s, locked front and back with electric lockers. Real nice rig. So he pulls up to like the first hill climb, and the front locker don't work, which you don't hardly ever wheel that Jeep anyway.
Sure.
So he's like trying to bump up this ledge, and one front tire spinning, and he's like, "Oh, my locker ain't working." And I'm just like, this is going to be a long day.
Okay.
So he goes around, and come to find out, his son, who's like 12 or 13, kept turning. So he's got the switch bar, and there's a switch to turn the whole switch bar off.
Oh,
And he
okay.
kept turning the switch bar off because it uses battery. Because I guess they like play in it and like turn it on, and it would drain his battery. So he was chewing their ass like, "Don't ever leave that on. It uses the battery."
Shut it off. Shut
Well,
it off.
Eric didn't know why he was wheeling. He was flipping that off on Eric, which was turning
Saving Dad's battery. Yeah.
You told me it uses a battery. He's like, "The Jeep's running, you dumbass."
We're replenishing as we're using it. It's
Yes.
fine.
It's called an alternator, probably alternator. So, that was a notable thing, but everything went pretty well. How I explained it is you're not wheeling a Cherokee on 33s anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You've got 44s, beadlocks aired down, long arms. Like, you've got a built Jeep now. And his confidence level with it when we started was like low because he's used to wheeling junk.
Sure.
And I was like, you have a pretty significantly built rig now. And you have 3 horsepower with a 3.8 Jeep.
Okay.
I said, you can floor it all you want.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. And after I kind of gave him that little pep talk, and what was good is I led, and my Jeep is built very, very similar to his. And he's like, I figured if you made it each time, I could make it. Because we're both on JKs, 37s, both got 44. We've got the same axles, probably the same lockers. He's got different tires, but that don't matter that much. Different type, same size tires. So he was pretty impressed. I think Jason, this was one of the first or second wheeling trip where his doubler actually worked, and he was loving that.
Now that he's got cable shifters and all the whole 9 yards.
Everything
Yeah.
works. So, it's the whole plan's coming together. But it was fun. Let Wyatt drive. So I feel like when I was 7 or 8 years old, I was driving a truck on my uncle's farm
Okay.
to take out trash. And we let the kids drive down a rock lane home, sitting on our lap. We control the pedals, they drive. And I was like, I think I was driving a vehicle when I was 7 years old. So I was like, it's time. So Jeep was in low range at Moonlight. There's a great big creek bed you can drive through,
Yep.
So Wyatt drove 300 or 400 yards. He's 7 years old with the Jeep and getting used to he wouldn't give it enough gas. It wasn't the opposite problem. And I figured if I needed to, I could always reach down and bump it neutral or turn it off or something. And
Push clutch in.
yeah, well, I don't know. He was sitting on his own.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting on his own.
Okay.
I had to fold my jacket up for him to sit on it so he could see out of the Jeep.
Yeah.
Seat's adjustable, but everything's broke on it. So it's where it's at. So there's no adjusting that. But that was cool. So he got to drive and pretty fun trip. So you got anything new?
I was just going through my camera roll here, trying to decide
That's what I did.
trying to decide what I've been doing because I kind of chronologically memorialize my life in photographs.
Bro, these are so bad.
Are you done though?
I'm done.
All right. So after drinking that strawberryta, the
other
old
one's
poverty
pretty
tea is not too bad.
Okay, smooth, huh?
So I go back here to basically it starts back with the bushels and barrels huggies that I'm using right now to record this podcast. A whole bunch of work pictures. If you ever date a blue collar guy or know a blue collar guy, his whole camera roll is full of work pictures, part numbers or whatever. So, going back, I've got a bunch of pictures that relate to the book club, which I will skip over until we get to book club. But we've got a couple of gun items here. I helped Lucas Prups. He won a gun safe at a little benefit.
You're like the gun safe moving guy now.
Yeah, I got the equipment to do it. So I moved a gun safe for him. We went to the brewery lights down in St. Louis. That was a good time.
Which you've done that before, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done that before. We did it again this year. And I guess it changes every year because it was nothing like it was last year. I've got some pictures here. We went through we were kind of been on a bit of a gun kick here. The last podcast we talked about the gun auction.
Which I feel like this time of the year, every year we get on a gun kick.
Well, it's hunting season, everything else. So we purchased some guns at the gun auction. We plan to go New Year's Day to Bauer Auction in Mattoon to maybe purchase some more guns. So I've got some of that stuff going on. And then as far as vehicle maintenance, I put a thermostat in the Volkswagen, and it's become apparent that late model vehicles have to have OE thermostats. It started as a thing with Cummins. Like Cummins can only run a Mopar thermostat. And I knew that was a thing basically ever since like '03 on. If it's not a Cummins thermostat or a Mopar thermostat, you're going to have a bad time. Well, the Volkswagen was having a thing when it got cold, it wouldn't warm up. The thermostat was stuck open or whatever the situation. Everybody on the Volkswagen says you got to have the Molly, OE thermostat. So I put one of those in, and a week later, Marlene had a leaking water pump on her G6 convertible that she daily drives, and Gary was having a bit of a hard time getting that taken care of. So on a Sunday, I went with Gary to Rise, got a water pump and a thermostat, put all that in. It's a reverse flow thermostat, which is retarded. It is.
It's like positive grounding.
Yeah, it's retarded. But basically, the lower radiator hose has the thermostat in it. It's whatever. But anyway, we did that. We've got. I've been back on a kick with buying shit off the Menards emails. So I got some pictures of that.
Which is funny. They are doing employee spotlights now in Effingham.
Okay, yeah, I did see that. Yep.
I was going to Snapchat Brent and be like, wow, didn't even make the Menards spotlight. And
we had the 12 pubs of Christmas with Jenny Olson. That's always a good time, where it's 12 bars in a 6-hour time period. And there's a rule at every bar. And if you break the rule, you owe $5 to the pot. And then at the end of the night, we tally all the money up and it goes to a local charity. Well, this year was the Effingham Humane Society, and we raised over $500
dang.
for the Effingham Humane Society. That was cool. I bought some presents for William. It was funny because we're in this group chat with Amanda's sister, Jenna, and she's like, he wants this and this, and we got the presents, and that was it. Well, then, just like every toddler, I only want A, B, and C toys for Christmas. That's the only thing I've asked Santa for all year long, blah, blah, blah. And then a week before Christmas,
I want D.
It is D, E, and F, right? So he was on this excavator kick. It was green tractor. Well, then he's on an excavator kick, and Jenna was like, do not buy him an excavator. Well, I was going to Menards anyway to pick up aforementioned online order, and I'm like, if they've got them at Menards, I'll buy him one. And Jenna was like, they don't have excavators at Menards, and I'm like, fucking bet. So anyway, they have this one, and it's a fucking inch tall. It's the cutest little thing. It's in a little caterpillar little toolbox, and it comes with little kinetic sand and stuff you can play with it. Anyway, so it's $3. So I fucking bought it, and I sent a picture to Amanda, and she's like, that's not fucking big enough. I was like, well, I bought it anyway.
Don't you know it's a choking hazard?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Oh.
Anyway, so anyway, I end up going to Walmart, and I get him a legit toy size excavator, and that one Christmas, the $20 excavator, one Christmas, Santa really does listen or whatever. And then leaving Walmart, I was had nothing to leftovers to eat at home. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna swing through the old Taco Bell.
Okay.
Well, if you are following social media, many fast food chains are doing a pretty heavy social media presence. They got to realize that they have to target Gen Z to get this generation of kids to start eating fast food. So Taco Bell is doing the decades throwback menus. They've got old timey cups from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. Well, anyone who's listened to the show long enough knows that it is a tragedy that a couple of years ago they discontinued the caramel apple empanada at Taco Bell. Well, they brought it back for the decades menu, and so I had to go get one of those. So I have a picture of that in my camera roll. Myriad of toolboxes. We did some promotions throughout the holiday season. Shop owners are doing all their, year-end stuff, trying to get all those guys taken care of. I handed out the calendars and the screwdrivers for Christmas presents to my customers. And then Tri-Power Towing gets the topless girls and the topless men. And so for Amanda, Jenna, Marlene, and Wesley, Amanda's coworker, I take the tops off of my calendars and put them on the dude calendars. That way they got some eye candy to look at. We ordered some year-end merch from Jedco for Snap-on.
I appreciated that.
That was cool. And I got my first "when are we getting those" message from a coworker today. And I was like, well, your dad basically screwed the pooch on that, delaying for a color change. But other than that, it should be coming up shortly. So beyond that, just lots of hard work and worry.
Yeah.
As far as what's new with me, like we mentioned earlier, going over to the Casa de Dozer to delete some T's and work on the old Bridgeport, which I know you have some stuff to talk about on that.
Yeah.
But anytime I have a list, anytime you're ready for book club. So,
well, I don't, you can go on book code.
Book code?
Book code.
Book club?
Yeah. That.
All right, we'll go ahead and do book club. I invited my sister on the podcast, but she ended up having to go home for Christmas break on Saturday.
So, should have called her tonight.
Well, we still can.
Another time.
What time is it? It's 8:30 in Indy right now.
Yeah. What are you lighting over there?
This is, she got me, so we did a white elephant exchange at Mom's house, and I got incense. We're
burning incense in this bitch.
Yeah, and it's sandalwood incense.
I figured it would be discount gas station liquor.
It's for relaxation, positive vibes, and purify.
Okay.
Place one incense stick and holder and place in a ceramic or non-flammable plate, which is my coaster, that will collect the ash as it falls. Light one into the incense stick.
Fucking paper coaster. We're burning incense on top of the
Dude,
bitch.
Fuck this table. It'll be fine.
In this house, apparently.
No, I can put the fire out. It's incense. It's smoldering. So, anyway, I guess at the end of book club, we'll call Tierra, and if she answers, then she can be in on book club. If not, whatever, right? Well, I haven't even texted her. Should I text her and say, hey, I'm going to call you, or no?
Let's set something up and do a real full
legit
form and ask her the questions and everything.
Okay. All right. We can do that. Well, we left off our last book club with, I was halfway or 90% through with Why Gary Why. Well, I finished that. And then we talked about running out of hours on Spotify, and then I asked about getting an Audible account, and you were like, it's like $100 a month, but it's worth it.
15.
And so a listener, Jenna, she reached out to me and she says, you can get a library card because you live in town and they have audiobooks on your library card. I was like, really? So I go to the library, and now, mind you, the last time I was in a library as a consumer of library products, I was in middle school at the Mattoon Public Library, and to check out a book, you took it up to the front desk, and they had the little
card inside,
with a stamp, and you change the date on the stamp, and you put it on a rubber pad, then put it on the book, and then you got 2 weeks to bring it back or whatever.
Dewey Decimal System,
which is still in full use today.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm like, I am a full-grown adult, but I need you to tell me, like I'm 5, how does the library work? Because I am...
Side note, did you see the fishing bowls?
Yes, I did.
You can check out a fishing bowl.
So the library is taxpayer funded, and they have a myriad of resources for everybody. Just anyone who has a library card, they have video games. They have Wii games and PS4 games and blah, 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 DVDs, Blu-rays, obviously books, magazines, fishing poles. They've got like study rooms. Like if we wanted to host this podcast, I could, for X number of hours a week, I think like 2 hours a week or whatever, I can reserve a room and we can have a like soundproof like study room inside the library. Probably couldn't burn incense there.
No.
Definitely couldn't delete teas.
Probably should not be burning incense. Sounds getting smoky in there.
It's ambiance. What is peace?
Ambiance.
It is relaxation, positive vibes, and purifying.
Well, I'm getting nervous. We're gonna burn this bitch down.
I've already burned a whole stick. While
What?
you didn't know that. Look at the ash.
Makes it worse.
Anyway,
It's like finding out you've been cheated on
so
this whole time.
so this library card, right?
In front of me?
So I asked this librarian, and I'm like, hey, can you explain this to me? She's like, yes, no problem. Like, what's your address? She's like, you live in city limits. You pay taxes.
Like 3rd Street? Ooh. 4th Street.
Yeah, she did not say that. But she's like, you pay you're in district. You pay taxes. Your property taxes pay for this library to be here. You have full access to this library free of charge. So she's like, I just need your name, address, phone number, birthday, blah, blah.
Blood sample, urine sample.
Yeah, firstborn, whatever.
Social security number.
And then we set you up with a library card. And I was like, okay. So I browse the library. I look for what I want. And then they've got like this section of like new books or recently returned. Like there's like a featured section, right? So I check it out. And what do I see on the featured section but Hillbilly Elegy? And I'm like, hey, I've watched that Netflix show, and we just fucking elected J.D. Vance as the vice president of this whole motherfucking country.
So, for the first time in my life, the book is better than the movie.
Okay.
And I mean it.
So when I watched the movie and I was like, no way, like this is far-fetched, like this is bullshit, whatever. Well,
go Bonnie Vance.
After reading the book, like that is what actually happened. So
The movie was possibly a milder version of the book.
it was. So I'm going to rewatch the movie again and compare my inner workings of my notes with the book to the movie, and I'll get back to you on that. But I have not watched the movie for the second time. But I did read Hillbilly Elegy with that library card, and part of the reason for getting the library card is there's like several apps you can download and then log in with your library credentials, and you can get ebooks, audiobooks, so on and so forth. And there's even like a streaming service. You can rent, quote unquote, check out movies on the streaming service on your smart TV as part of your library card. Like it's wild as hell. So anyway, I read
Do you know how much it costs to have a library card if you don't live in town?
a lot.
It's an astronomical amount.
My mom was saying that she looked into it and it was like she can buy like 25,000 books a month for what it costs.
A minute. It's like several thousand. It's like several $100.
Yeah.
Maybe close to 1,000.
So anyway, so I read Hillbilly Elegy. I really, really liked it. If you're looking for a, somewhat quick read as far as like something that will take you, like it's pretty interesting how it.
Did you read it or listen to it?
I read it.
Okay.
Like physical book.
All right.
Checked it out of the library.
Can you read?
I can. So it compare and contrast, these low income families, how they came from the hills and hollers of Kentucky and Tennessee in like a coal mining community and moved to a industrial community in Southern Ohio. And now that community is now devastated because of manufacturing leaving, and there's so much poverty and drug abuse and blah, 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 blah,
Because
blah.
everybody's still just genetically a hillbilly.
Right. So that was a really good read. Highly recommend. I've completely read through that, and it was the weekend and the library is closed. So I had Tierra Aubrey's book, Pause and Remember. So I read that, and that was a very good book. I bought it just to have it. And like at that point I didn't read. And now that I do read, I was glad I had it. And there's actually a sequel coming out allegedly next year. And I'll be excited to read that too. So the tagline was misleading. And so I'm not going to tell her how to write her stories or whatever. But I thought, speaking of which, I got emails. We totally forgot to do emails.
Just finish up your thought here and we can do the email.
So anyway, like the tagline was like, I think it's kind of be like Twilight, like werewolf type stuff. It was not that at all. It was more like kind of halfway religious based, and like there was a lot of, at least from my point of view, being from Mattoon, I was like, hey, like I remember that, because like the protagonist of the story like is from Mattoon, lives in Indy, and then comes back to Mattoon like within the story, like, hey, look, she went to Villa Pizza, like, hey, that's cool. So anyway, that was a good read. And then I took the Hillbilly LG back and needed another book, and I just grabbed off the recently released shelf or whatever, The Restless Wave, and it's by Admiral James Stavridis, I believe is how you say that. I'm not sure. But it is a historical fiction about World War II, which I didn't even know what kind of genre that I wanted to be in, because up until now I've kind of read nonfiction / self-help / whatever books like we've talked about, and it's much more fun to read a fictional story. Well, I just grabbed this book because it was actually on Pearl Harbor Day when I checked it out, and it's a Navy book, and it starts essentially during Pearl Harbor because it's about a fictional Navy Annapolis graduate who joins the Navy as an officer, and his first assignment is at Pearl Harbor, and he's just chillaxing on a random
In
Sunday.
Hawaii, like, yeah.
Like, got the gravy ass assignment in Hawaii, and then boom, we're at war, right? So it follows his story as a officer in the Navy, and it's very interesting because himself and his love interest and his family is a fictional character, but who the people that he interacts with in the story are real people.
Okay.
And the battles are real battles that are told in a historical sense. Like, it's like if you like, and at the end, like there's an appendix, basically like he cites all the sources where he come up with all these informational facts, and it was extremely interesting. So now I'm like, hey, I want to read more World War II historical fiction. Like tell me more stories evolving around World War II, because I'm a millennial and I'm in my 30s and I need to be either into World War II or smoking meats. And since I don't have patience to smoke meats, I'm into World War II.
All right.
So I read that, and then on the audiobook side, because I do a lot of driving, I decided to read some audiobooks, not using Audible, using the
Library app.
library app. Well, there's 2 library apps that I'm using for audiobooks, and now I've since been explained how this works, but I was pretty well upset that like they're like, here's some samples of some books you can read that are like kind of like sci-fi books that kind of went along with the audio dramas that I'd been listening to, and it was like, psych, you have to wait 6 weeks to request this title because someone else has listened to it. And I'm like, it's fucking digital media. Like, why do I have to wait 6 weeks? So anyway, I switched over to another app where you don't have to wait, and I started listening to the Sentenced to War series, which is a story like a futuristic space odyssey set in the year 2834. And basically this guy gets a traffic ticket, and they're at war with some aliens, and they are so hard up for military members. Like, if you are arrested for any reason, you go to court, and if you're found guilty, instead of a prison sentence, you get commissioned into the armed forces. And this guy basically gets pulled over for a speeding ticket, essentially, and
That's to fight aliens.
And he gets sentenced
and the
to...
government's funding this.
Yeah. He gets sentenced to... It's sentenced to war. He gets sentenced to be a Marine in the armed forces. And, like, you go through boot or whatever, and you go through your, like, qualifications, and they're like, okay, so you got this level of infraction. You can serve 15 years as a fucking potato peeler. You can serve 10 years as a, like, fucking truck driver, or you can serve 3 years as an infantryman. But each as you go down in sentence length, you go up in mortality rate, right? So like the more hardcore fighter you are, the less time you have to serve. So anyway, it's a fucking 13 book series, and I've listened to 5 of the 13 books. Meanwhile, one of the ones I got placed on hold on the first app was like, hey, it's available now after fucking 6 weeks. So I paused my Sentence to War series, and now I'm on this other one. But I looked at back to physical books. After I read The Restless Wave by James Stradivarius, I was looking at some other books that he's written, and he wrote one with another guy called 2034, and I finished it. It was fucking good. It was basically like in the year 2034, we've got like these tensions are high with China, and China wants the South China Sea, which is quote unquote international waters. They're like, these are territorial water. Like, this is our ocean. And the United States is like, fucking bet. So like every month they sail a flotilla through Chinese waters, and they're like, fucking come at us, bro. Right? Well, they stage this whole scenario where the United States is the United States, and they try to be the police or whatever. And like, they make this whole made up scenario where this fishing trawler is like in distress and on fire or whatever. Come to find out it's a fucking trap, and the Americans fall right into this trap. Super long story short, we're launching nukes. The fucking world is at motherfucking World War III over this fucking bullshit thing that China did. And it was just a good fucking book. And there's another one, which I went to check out tonight, which is being checked out by somebody else. It's 2053, which is like a sequel to that book. So anyway, enough of my book club. What have you read in the past 6 weeks? Anything?
Not a damn thing.
Nothing.
I don't know.
What are you doing with your life?
I don't know. I need to get back on this, I guess. So
now that everybody shut the podcast off.
Dear, yeah. Oh, yeesh. Let's see here. What's on my list to say? So you want to read emails before we?
I can. If you want me to read emails, I'll read emails.
Let's do some emails.
Okay, let me pull up the old email app.
Show listener emails.
Which is basically all my sister.
Thank you for that.
Junk. I get a lot of junk mail on this email address now, which is
like because we blast it out all over the internet.
Okay, November 20th, I guess, would have been about when we did one last.
Okay.
Bailey Krager, congratulations on the 10,000 downloads. I am with Sam. I think about getting Audible, but I do have a hard time paying $15 a month, unless that is for unlimited books to listen to. If so, then I may be interested. Or do you pay the $15 and still have to purchase whatever book you want to listen to?
You get one book for $15. Then you have to purchase the rest.
So
which some books are like 99 cents.
Right. So Bailey, check. You live in town in T-Town. Check and see if there's a T-Town library. So
I bet they ain't got no fishing rods.
Well, listen.
Maybe.
Maybe the Illinois library system is all interconnected. Like, I can drive to Champaign.
No.
And check out a book with my Effingham library card, because all an interlibrary.
But I can't.
Because you don't have a fucking library card.
That is something. That's town racist.
I go through my Spotify listening hours within a week. When you're at a desk all day listening, it doesn't take long for me to go through them. A dad jokes podcast, or any joke podcast for that matter. I've been waiting for that one as well. Keep up the great work. So, need to put that on your list.
Some dad ones.
To do a dad joke podcast. Okay. Tiara Aubrey, November 20th. OMG. Oh, this is for episode 30. Power Wheels and Hot Rods.
Okay.
OMG, I can't believe someone actually paid to have a kid's Power Wheels repainted a different color. LOL, and now Sam is helping Dozer's kids by bringing bigger battery for their Power Wheels. Is there anything you guys won't upgrade the power on?
No.
Too much talk on bumpers. I don't even remember what we talked
Kyle
about.
must have been on that episode or something.
I bet he was. Episode 55 from my sister Tiara. I am a super fan. 10,000 downloads. Congratulations. Yeah, if you get Audible, I enjoy it. Make sure you only use your credits on books that cost over the $15 a month you pay for the subscription.
Yep, good tip.
There are several audiobooks you can get for free also. You just have to search for them by title or subject, and you can create a wish list of ones that you want, and they'll message you when they become free or go on sale. Sam Page on light bulbs in cases. What a hose clamp nightmare. That was when we had the issue with my coolant line on my tool truck. And also on November 20th from Jenna, fan mail. Episode 54, Rules of Engagement. Welcome officially, in parentheses, to the family, Sam. We've already claimed you for years, but that rock really solidifies that you are stuck within the Wines clan forever. My children are thrilled for lifelong Uncle Sam shenanigans and unnecessary toys and candy. I, however, am still bitter that I was not in on the surprise, WTF, which I didn't tell anybody because I didn't think anyone could keep it a secret.
Mm-hmm.
In true Jenna form, I am always looking for a deal/way to save money. Episode 55 regarding book club. I may check into getting a library card. It should be free since you live in district and presumably pay your property taxes. But zero judgment if you don't, because taxation is theft.
Isn't it crazy? Like we thought like we're gonna do this podcast so all our dude friends can listen to us, and now it's just women who write us about fucking library cards. What in the world? Where has this gone wrong?
They have an app called Libby that lets you read ebooks and listen to audiobooks that comes free with your card. The selection obviously won't be as vast as Audible or Spotify, but it is an option that isn't $15 a month to check into before getting a subscription. Dozer is 1,000% correct.
Oh, hold on. You have my attention now.
That you can go anywhere/do anything if you take at least one kid with you. However, this may lead to your 3-year-old asking to go to the local bar randomly, or your kindergartner writing in her Mother's Day card from school that she likes it when her mom takes her to the blacktop, even though that's a dad activity. But maybe this is one of those you might be from T-Town if things, LOL. 'Tis the season. What were your favorite car-related Christmas gifts over the years? Are there any really cool car toys that a boy must have?
Hands down, my Max tie downs.
Yeah?
That was a Christmas gift. Best one ever.
Oh, I've gotten a lot of car gifts from Amanda.
My high lift jack was a Christmas gift from my grandma and grandpa Dial, and that's saved me a few times.
Okay.
Those are just off the top of my head. My cousin Greg gave me a like a snatching rope, like a
Tug rope or
tug
whatever.
rope for Christmas one year that I still carry. So that's mine, just off the top of my head.
I can't really think of any like that super stand out besides Amanda got me a bunch of cool stuff for the GTX that a lot of it hasn't been installed yet just because I'm a piece of shit. But
That car, well, as is that car, apparently.
well, yeah, it's still burning oil and whatever else.
Dead to you. My
So
car's dead to me too, for the help city. Falcon for sale.
episode 31 from Tierra,
Okay.
bringing fiber internet part 1.
Okay.
This is with Nate Thompson. Hello back. Nate, he gave a shout out to everyone listening to the podcast. Oh, hello back. Gotcha.
Yep.
I love that Sam has a game from Godfather's Pizza in Mattoon. Do you remember me working there for a couple years? Absolutely. That's why I have that game, because I would be babysat by my sister while she was working at Godfather's Pizza, and just like pacify me that Godfather sold a cookie pizza. It was like a 12-inch pizza, but it was a chocolate chip cookie. And she'd bake one of those and be like, here, go entertain yourself upstairs. Here's like $2 worth of quarters. Go have fun in the arcade, basically. So that's why I have Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja in my basement. She says, hey, ketchup is spicy.
Okay.
And she says, wait, Nate really believes that the earth is flat? And she says, oh my gosh, Nate trying to sell his motorcycle bubble during COVID as a kid bubble was hilarious. And then
I love that episode.
that was a good episode. I need to read the rest of that one. And then part 2 of Flat Earth. She says, all the discussion on money being fake and the craziness of the FOID card renewal was hilarious. And she said, Sam almost killed Dozer's duck. No, Dozer almost killed Dozer's duck with Sam's gun. That was a good time.
Oh,
I love hearing Nate give you a hard time for not being willing to get married to Amanda. Well, joke's on him now.
That did not age.
If only he knew where he'd be a short year and a half later. Wait, I'm confused. Did you promise pancakes for anyone that listened to the whole recording? Because I did, and I want my dang pancakes. I don't remember that part of the pod. I'll have to listen to that.
Pancakes. Matthew Gardewine and just now your sister, I guess, is the only ones who have tried to cash in on that.
All right, so listen. 6 a.m., January 1st at Country Kitchen. I'm buying pancakes before we go.
I'm there.
Are they even open on New Year's Day?
Doubt it.
If they are, pancakes and / French toast / omelets at Country Kitchen before we go to Mattoon. Sound good?
Okay.
We'll got people looking.
I wasn't even going to go to Mattoon, but
what the fuck? I thought you were like you and Nate and everybody.
Nate, you mean Cody Hartkey?
Yeah, Cody Hartkey.
Yeah, he said that you can't look at the guns before the auction anymore.
I looked at, there's a preview day, which I think is tomorrow or today or whatever, but you can look at them all online, which I have done. And I've put on my wish list all the things I put on my watch list, everything that I want to look at.
You can bid on them online, right?
Yeah, but you have to pay. You have to pay 15% online if you win it online, or you just look at your phone while you're there and like lot 31, Colt Python. Like, oh, I'm watching lot 31. I'm gonna pay attention when they're selling this gun.
So how does the online work?
There's a person sitting next to the auctioneer, and he like 17, 17, 17, 18, 18, 18, 19, 19, 19, and he's like going once, and then the lady next to him is like, I have an online bid for 20. And he's like 20, 20, 21, 21, 20. And so the lady online like updates the bid. Like she's full, like straight real time updating the bids online. It's
So
wild as shit.
If I bid ahead of time, like $100, that's just where they start.
No. If you like, most of the guns start at $300. Most start at $300. So like if you bid $1,000, then he'll go 300, and then people like, provided no one else online bid, he'll go like 3 people in the crowd are bidding. He'll be like 400, 500, 600, 700. And then like, so Dozer in the crowd has 700. Then he'll look at the online person. She's like, yep, 800. Like you have the bid at 800. Now the guy in the crowd, 900. He says, yep. And then the lady's like, I'm good. I'm in at 1,000. He says 1,000. Good. And he's like, are you at 1,100?
It's like an eBay situation. It's your max bid.
Yes.
And they bid for you until you get there.
Yes.
Okay.
She says, I'm all caught up now. Beware. I've enjoyed emailing every week, so I might have to start making up podcasts that you both supposedly recorded from other podcasts. Wait, no. I'm all caught up now. Beware. I've enjoyed emailing every week. So I might have to start making up podcasts that you both supposedly recorded from other podcasts I listen to. Stay tuned. Oh, so she's going to make up her own podcast based on things that we listen to. Okay. So she sent me a couple. All right, here we go.
Buckle up.
Episode number, there isn't one. So now I make them up. She's all caught up on all of our backlogs of episodes. She says, wow, what a great episode, guys. I'm currently binging You on Netflix, but I'm sure it has nothing to do with this episode I heard in my imagination. I can't believe Sam has gone from casually reading to now working in a bookstore.
We're fucking not far at this point.
And Dozer works there too. So cool.
I don't even know how to read.
I'm happy you and Amanda are engaged, so maybe now you can let her out of that clear cage in your basement.
Okay.
Creepy. I'm sad you have blood on your hands. But you're my little brother and I'll always love you. Seriously though, why hasn't anyone heard from your boss in a long time? Great show. Keep up the good work. Love your big sis. And then last one, episode, still not a new one. So here goes my imagination. Wow. What a incredible episode, guys. I can't believe Amanda took Sam on the ultimatum on Netflix. I don't know what that show is about. If someone can enlighten
We're
me.
about to figure it out.
I guess we'll Google it. What was it like, Sam? How was your trial marriage for 3 weeks with that hottie? And aren't you jealous of Amanda's time with that stud? I'm guessing it's like a wife swap situation. Yes, I am jealous, actually.
He's turning red right now.
And that hottie, she was a fucking bitch. She fucking made me wash dishes, and she didn't give up the goods at all the whole time.
The goods.
I haven't watched the last episode or reunion yet, but I'm on pins and needles. Did you choose each other, or are you both leaving with someone else? I'll be watching. Love you. Be your big sis. So yeah, apparently we had some episodes while she... Oh, here's a new episode. He just emailed in on the 26th.
All right.
So this was the day after Christmas. New episode might be slightly Bridgerton inspired, which I haven't watched that on Netflix either. Dearest gentle reader, I can't begin to tell you how much I have enjoyed hearing all the latest gossip surrounding the ton. This gossip seems...
Weird nickname for me.
This gossip seems to revolve around Dozer's scandalous hunting expedition on the King's land. Thankfully, he didn't kill any of His Majesty's Alaskan creatures, or we would all be putting a guillotine...
First off, this is personal.
Or we would all be putting a guillotine party on our social calendars instead of the next ball. I urge you, gentle readers, to look before you leap and always have the proper documentation when traveling. Sincerely, Lady Whistledown. Okay.
All right.
I'm guessing that's like a proper English show, Bridgerton on Netflix or whatever, but... So, thank you to our loyal listeners for emailing in.
Another fun fact about the King's Alaskan creatures is Wyatt got a animal facts book for Christmas.
Did you the tortoise?
What?
The tortoise in the water. It's a tortoise. I just did a diorama on reptiles. I know everything there is to know about turtle. I sent that to you. I said this is Wyatt in a few years.
I don't remember that.
Oh, anyway, there's a turtle, a sea turtle in the water by a dock, and a kid's like, Wyatt's age, like, look at that turtle. And another kid's like, that's a tortoise. He's like, no, it's a turtle. No, that's definitely a tortoise. He's like, it's a turtle. I did a diorama on reptiles at school. I know everything there is to know about turtles. Thank you. That's a turtle.
Yeah, that's going to be... So he opens the gift from my wife's mom, so my mother-in-law, and he goes... Boring. I already know all these. And Laren's like, okay, I bet you do. So she grabs the book from him, flips open the page, goes, what animal poops in cubes? And he goes, a badger. And Laren's like, I'll be damned he doesn't.
A badger poops in cubes?
Yes, or a wombat, or whatever it is. Maybe a wombat, something like that. He has a wombat. So... Then Laren's flipping through, and she flips. She goes, oh, look at this one, Dozer. There are more caribou than people in Alaska.
Shut your face.
So I got harassed over Christmas.
What else is
for
new?
my amazing hunting skills.
Or lack thereof.
Then let's see here. What's on my list? So it was Sam's lighting more incense. You go on a beer run while I'm telling this story. So my parents and educators were very concerned with me as a child because I drew chainsaws on everything in my whole life. Any art project, any homework, anything, I would draw a chainsaw on it. And I guess they thought I was going to grow up to be some kind of chainsaw massacre guy.
Not a lumberjack.
I just really thought chainsaws were cool. I drew them on everything.
Can you describe for the audience what your hand-drawn chainsaws look like?
Well, I mean, they look like chainsaws. Next question.
I was gonna say draw one for me, but
No, I can draw one for you.
You draw one, I'll take a picture of. That'll be the cover photo.
So I can actually probably find one.
Okay.
But I drew chainsaws all the time. They looked something similar to this, right?
That's actually pretty good.
Okay.
The tooth count on the chain is
Teeth
probably
are way too big. It's kind of bubbly, a little handle, but I loved everything with motors.
well, yeah. What little kid doesn't?
Yeah, and my uncle had a chainsaw, and like my dad didn't have a chainsaw. A chainsaw was something you borrowed, you didn't own.
Right. That's a man's tool.
Why would a guy need a chainsaw? You know what I'm saying? So like every now and again we'd have a limb fall, and they already borrow my uncle's chainsaws. Like, whew, whew,
Time to get the chainsaw.
We got man things going on here. So I was self-aware enough that I was getting ostracized from the community by my love of chainsaws. So I didn't realize that, you can have like train autism, and I had chainsaw autism. So it was suppressed for a couple of years. Well, I don't even know how far back, but to make your deer, there's a technique to make your deer hunting better that you can just go cut down a bunch of trees and it just makes it really woolly. It's like timber stand improvement or forest stand improvement. They're kind of the same, kind of different, but you basically cut down trees that are worth money so more sunlight can get in your woods. So the day after Christmas, I spent 6 hours in the woods instead of going to work chainsawing on trees. And that like reignited my whole chainsaw autism part of my life. So I had like this free chainsaw that a renter left at a place. Are you okay over there?
I may have found the contender.
The contender.
To replace the Twisted Tea.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it?
It is a hard Mountain Dew.
Okay.
This is a Baja Blast Punch, and it is good.
That seems like something that'll rot the teeth right out of your head.
Good thing it's 0 sugar.
Okay. Well,
I'll get you one on your
let's
next
say
round.
8%.
5.
5, okay.
Same as teas. Anyway, it is good. So if you have an opportunity, you're at the store and you see a hard Mountain Dew, don't pass it up. Go ahead and get you a 12-pack.
Noted.
So anyway, continue with the Borophyll.
The Borophyll? You're talking about books for fucking 20 minutes.
Okay, chainsaw autism.
My grandma listens to this. She's going to dig this. What is happening? My
I asked my sister that. I asked her if she wanted to be on the podcast. So I'm going back to Indy. I was like, well, I can call you for book club. She's like, just call me for book club. And like, that's it. And I was like, how did a fucking car podcast go to having a goddamn book club?
I got authors on this bitch now.
Anyway.
I hate this podcast.
Anyway.
It's just all middle-aged white women emailing in about their fucking perks they get from the library. Like, cool. That's what you get. I guess when you give feedback, we give you more.
Oh, shoot. So anyway.
My grandma messaged me today. When's the next podcast? My grandma. Today.
She wants to know what book to check out from the library.
Oh, Atlanta.
So anyway, you spend 5 hours instead of working chainsawing trees down.
It starts before that. So like I knew this chainsaw thing was coming. So I had a steel MS-250 that never did run good. I got it for free. And I was like, you know what? You can learn anything on YouTube. So I YouTubed how to do a tune-up on it. So I did a tune-up on it, and it like ran so bad I couldn't even keep it running to tune it up. And I like YouTubed like how to tune the carb and couldn't even get it running long enough to tune the carb. So I just start twisting on the carb screws and it starts and runs, and I rev it up, and it's like, well, I'm like, okay. So I go put the screwdriver in the high circuit, the high end mixture screw, turn it like a half turn, and it just wakes up,
Comes alive.
and it's like a whole brand new saw. And I'm like, okay, like this is cool. So I get that all tuned up. It's like 9:30 at night. I'm out in my driveway running this saw wide open, just turning on the screws a little bit. It's all by ear because I don't have the RPM meter thing that you hold next to it. And
I sell those, by the way.
do you?
Oh yeah.
Hook me up.
Okay.
What else we got? So I get that going. Well, then I also.
So shout out, Zeth Pucker is loving this right now.
Oh yeah, we ought to have a chainsaw podcast with Zeth.
We can do that. We can do 2 that night. We can do guns and chainsaws.
We need to do that. Just that'd almost be worth the drive over there, which I don't know why we have to go to him, but anyway.
We want to see his turkey farm, so.
Okay, this would be like a whole day thing.
Yeah, but like a field trip.
Okay. Set it up.
We can do that. Zeth, reach out to me.
Does he listen anymore? Or did we?
I don't know. Probably not. He listens, so like he'll save them up, and then like he'll get 20,000 birds in, right? Well, then he raises them up to adulthood and then sells them for turkey, right? Well, he just come off his busy season because Thanksgiving. Well, then he's got to spend like 2 weeks completely cleaning every single barn, sanitize it, and get ready for the next 20,000 birds that comes in. So the 2 weeks that he's cleaning barns, just driving a tractor for 2 weeks, he's listened to our podcast.
Okay. Good to know. I bought a tractor from a chicken farmer one time. Fucking ruined. I mean, It was so rusty.
Is that what's worse, buying a tractor from a chicken farmer or a dairy farmer? Because I see skid steers that come in from dairy farmers. I
heard you never want to own a tractor from a dairy farmer.
Yeah.
I would think chicken farms not too far behind.
Sure.
Turkey's probably
right in there.
So I bought one of those liberal Tesla electric Milwaukee saws from Sam because my gas chainsaw never ran. So, you get a tree fall in the yard or over the driveway. I need a saw that's just going to work.
It just works.
Yeah. So I bought one of those, and super long story short, the power line company came through and cut down a bunch of trees in my yard or next to my yard on my neighbor's property for clearance for the tie lines. And my father-in-law burns wood for heat in his house. So I was like, hey, I asked the neighbor, can I have some of these trees? And yeah, go ahead. So I went over there with my electric liberal saw and started cutting up firewood for my father-in-law. Well, before I know it, I got a whole tractor bucket full. So I go dump it in my yard, go back, fill up another one. I was like, well, if I'm going to dump this, I might as well dump this into my father-in-law's truck. So I call him. I was like, hey, I got firewood. You ought to come over. And he's like, on my way. I was like, did not think that was going to work that well.
Yeah.
So he comes over and we dump the tractor in, and then we load the first dump we throw in, and he's got about, I don't know, 2/3 of a truck bed. And I was like, you want to cut another load? He's like, yeah, let's cut another load. So we took the electric liberal saw, Tesla saw over there and cut another load, and we fill up his long bed dually Ford truck, kind of heap, 2-foot heap over the sides. And we did that on 2 6.0 batteries and 1 5.0 battery. I was pretty impressed with that.
Would you say that was probably a cord or like cord and a half or?
I would say it's almost a cord.
Okay.
So 4x4x8 is a cord.
Okay.
So we were like 4x5x3. So somewhere in there.
Okay.
Close.
Okay.
So he was impressed, which if you can impress a boomer with an electric chainsaw, that's
doing something.
That's saying something.
Oh, get that shitty electric chainsaw out here. What do you think? We're going to cut 2 logs with that damn thing? Yeah, what the hell's wrong with you?
Cut out of a paper bag with that son of a bitch. So I will say it's a terrible idea if you don't own batteries.
Right.
But if you already have batteries for other stuff, then...
So where I think it comes the most in handy is like chicken hauler. If you had a side-by-side or a Jeep and like you've got a path, but you want to clear it a little bit, and you got to drive 10, 15 feet, cut a limb or two, drive 20, 30 feet, cut a tree, drive 10, 15 feet, cut a couple of limbs. Like you're arguably a gas saw, you'd arguably leave running. Like you'd have to shut it off, pull start. Like it's long enough that you want to shut it off, but not long enough that you want to pull start it 50 times in an afternoon,
Right.
Like I think for that specific application, it's probably ideal. Now, like my 6-foot diameter oak tree fell down in my driveway, like probably not the saw you're going to grab, but like you've got like the neighbor had 25 tops strewn out across 4 or 5 acres. You're going to chop them up into a tractor bucket. Works pretty good.
Yeah. And what I like about it is you don't smell like 2-stroke exhaust when you're done.
Which is a good and bad thing.
Correct. You don't have to wear ear plugs or earmuffs, which was nice. And my father-in-law mentioned his favorite part is when you fucking set it down, it's off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. I feel like it might be a little bit safer. Another thing is you go to like hogging into a tree with a gas chainsaw, you can bog it. You don't bog an electric chainsaw.
Right.
It's full torque all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. The cons, my dad, when we went and we cut probably, I don't know, 15 acres of trees.
Mm-hmm.
And he was using the electric saw because it's lighter and he had his heart attack and his beatus and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, here, use the Tesla saw. And he cut for probably 3 hours and used 3 batteries. And I think he was pretty impressed with it. I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway,
You said it was a downside.
Oh, the downside is I was constantly worried about him losing batteries. Because he sticks these $100 fucking batteries in his hoodie and walks off into the woods. I was like, oh, I'm never going to see them again.
Yeah.
And he called me over because he got it pinched in a tree. He was cutting it the wrong way. It pinched it. He's like, here, can you cut this out? Sure. So I cut it and he's like, oh, this battery's dead. He like takes it off and he's like throws it over by a tree. And he's like, remember that battery's by that tree. It's just like, oh my gosh.
He's like discarding them like spent brass. Like,
just
junk.
Like they're double A's, you know what I mean? And so I ended up with all my batteries, but it's like, you can lose $100 bill pretty quick if you're not careful.
Yeah, and on the big battery, it's a $200 bill.
Yes. So that was one of the downsides. Another just issue, I guess, is, and this isn't really an electric chainsaw related issue, maybe as much, but like he would just, oh, battery's dead, pull battery out, put another battery in. With a gas chainsaw, you run out of gas. Okay, well, we need to probably touch up the chain, fill it up with oil. Well, he ran through 3 batteries.
Never put oil in
it.
Yeah.
And doesn't seem to be any damage or anything, but it's bone dry.
Yeah.
So, what I also like about it is the adjustment tool for the chain tightness. The bar
is under it.
Is built into it.
Yeah.
Why the fuck hasn't that been that way on a gas saw for 50 years?
I
How
agree.
hard would that be? They're plastic.
Yeah. And there's so many things like that Milwaukee comes up with. This like, where has this been my whole life?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the shit? Like the pump up sprayer that I was telling you about. It's the not pump up sprayer. Mm-hmm. The lid for the tank. Like you don't have to take the pump off the tank to fill the tank. Like there's a separate lid aside from the pump. The lid is a measuring cup and there's a strainer in it so you don't get trash in your tank to suck up in the screen. Like they're like this is a 2-gallon jug. I need 4 ounces of liquid concentrate in my 2-gallon jug. Like, oh look, there's a measuring cup on the lid of my tank. Like, why wasn't that a thing forever?
How hard would that be?
Yeah. So that's super handy. And then, like you said, and I've never heard a good thing. Like for a while, Steel had a like twist chain tightening thing, and I've never heard a good thing about it. Like, oh, it never stays tight or whatever. Like it's a good thing that you can tighten it by hand because you got to tighten it after every other cut.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad had a pulling like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's marketing mostly.
Yeah.
But
This to appeal to liberals.
So everybody I know, all the men in my life, for the most part, I shouldn't say that, all the older men in my life pay to have their chainsaw chain sharpened, which is, it used to be like $3, like $2, $3, $6. Now it's $8 to have a chain sharpened.
It's $8 now.
$8 to have a chainsaw chain
Good
sharpened.
God.
So my dad's like, oh, you know, my dad'll fucking cut with, you know, straight heat friction before he'll go pay to have a chainsaw chain sharpened, it seems like. So I get on Amazon and you can buy a 3-pack of chains for $30.
Yep.
I was like, $2 more, I can just have a brand new chain. I'll just throw them away. And then my dad over Christmas was like, hey, I bought the world's best chainsaw sharpener. Seen it on Temu. And I was like,
God.
my parents buy all kinds of stuff on Temu.
Great.
Temu? Anyway.
It's Temu if you watch the Super Bowl ad.
Okay, Temu. Gesundheit. So he's like, this says it'll sharpen your chain in 30 seconds. And I was like, okay. He's like, well, the name brand one was, this one's from Temu. Okay. So he's like, I don't know how to work it though, so you need to figure this out. So I get to looking, watching some videos. It takes 30 seconds to sharpen each tooth.
Yeah.
He's like, what? I thought it sharpened the whole chain in 30 seconds. I said, no, each tooth. So he's like,
there's 60 on a chain.
and I was like, listen, I gave you an electric chainsaw sharpener like 10 years ago. Where is it? Oh, I couldn't figure out that liberal bullshit.
Yeah.
They got angles and stuff on there. I didn't even try. He said, I just threw it over here in the corner. So he goes and digs through some bullshit and finds it. And so I'm just like, I feel like the electric one's going to be way better than this hand crank bullshit.
Yeah.
So then YouTube, and before I know it, I mean,
You're sharpening
I
chainsaw
just know
blades.
how to sharpen chainsaw blades. So I do all of his, and so there's multiple points to a chainsaw chain. Is it a blade? Is it a chain?
It's a chain. Yeah.
So
there's
there's a tooth that cuts,
and there's two directions.
but you have a raker, which some people call a depth gauge, but some people say it's not a depth gauge, it's raker, because there's a gauge you put on the raker. Is that a gauge? You know what I mean? So I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So it regulates how deep each tooth cuts.
Yeah.
So after you sharpen your tooth so long, you have to adjust your rakers because it shortens your tooth and makes it shorter because your tooth is at an angle.
Yeah.
And so I was like, Dad, we need to possibly, because I sharpened his chains and cut a piece of wood he had there. I'm like, it's okay, but it's not amazing. And I was like, maybe we need to adjust the rakers. He's like, we don't need to adjust no goddamn rakers just because the internet tells you need to adjust them. Like, okay, well, I think we do. So I go buy another sharpening kit, which there's 45 different ways to sharpen a chainsaw blade. Like, there's electric, there's shit that looks like a chop saw, there's square files, round files, there's one that does the tooth and the raker at the same time, and all this stuff. So most of the chainsaw people will tell you the best way to do it is just a round file. And each chain has its own like radius of file you need, its own angle, pitch, whatever. So they're not all the same. So at Rural King, hell, you can spend $14 and get every file and gauge and angle and everything you need. Your raker gauge and everything, different depths. I mean, the whole works, $14. So I bring it over to my mom and dad's house on Christmas because, you know, this is my new obsession because I've reawakened this chainsaw.
Autism.
Yeah, there's two wolves inside of you, you know, and one of them's chainsaw autism. So, you know, I'm sitting there in like my dress clothes after church on Christmas, adjusting rakers on this saw. I'm like, well, I need to test it. So I fire it up and I'm out there cutting wood. And it's just, so somehow the algorithm on Facebook from my Google searches and Amazon purchases, my algorithm on Facebook is like, ha, you're into chainsaws now.
I heard you like chainsaws.
So my whole Facebook is just chainsaws, and I love it. Like, my wife will be sitting there watching TV, and I'm just watching reels. It's like, just fucking like dudes in like the Bahamas cutting down like pineapple trees with chainsaws, you know? Dude, you can buy a giant chainsaw off of Amazon for like $69.
Okay.
Like 100cc.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, and like people buy them all the time and like test them and do videos and it's so funny. Like some of them, Bed Bath and Beyond has a line of chainsaws.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That's where the Beyond comes in, I guess.
That's the beyond part. I was gonna say, I think Zeth sharpens blades, and there's a guy in Stewartson that sharpens blades for like $4 or $5 a blade, and like you said, like buy a 3-pack on Amazon or whatever. Like get like 10 blades, hand the dude a fucking $30 bill, and be like, "I'll be back next week." You know what I mean? And then you got 10 fresh blades you can go ruin for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
The argument is if you touch them up every time you put gas in it, you never need to have them sharpened by a machine.
Okay.
And then my brother-in-law, who's a wildfire fighter who makes his living with a chainsaw, says as soon as you sharpen them with a stone that's moving, it heat tempers them, and you can never sharpen them with a file after that.
Okay.
And I noticed like mine that are virgin chains sharpen with a file a little bit easier than what my dad's do that have been.
They're like heat hardened or work hardened or yeah.
So my question, so like my brother-in-law and my buddy Ross, and apparently me now, sharpen with a file and do it by hand. You can do a whole chain in a minute.
Yeah.
You know, if you it's just, especially if they're not real bad, it's just like 1 or 2 swipes and fresh chain. Especially if you don't have to adjust rakers. Well, all the old guys in my life, my dad and my father-in-law and Nate, pay to have them sharpened.
Yep.
Which I thought was weird. You would think that would be backwards. You think, you know, the liberal kids these days are lazy, don't want to do nothing.
Right.
So lazy that they sharpen their own chainsaw blades instead of bring them in, I guess. I don't know.
Who knows?
So my question is do you know how to sharpen a chainsaw?
I don't. No, so there used to be a guy, and he may still be there, but the last time I had a chainsaw blade sharpened,
You keep on calling it a blade. I don't know if that's...
the last time I had a chain sharpened, I was 17 years old, and there was a guy on Champaign Avenue, or not on Champaign Avenue. It would have been 12th Street. Basically, right down the road from my dad's building. He had like a small engine repair shop, like he did lawnmowers and weed eaters and leaf blowers and all the things.
Just to the north.
Yeah, he might be fucking dead now. I don't know, but he did him
exactly what you're talking about.
He did him for $3, and then that was the last one I had sharpened. And then there was a guy in Charleston on the north end of town by my mom's old house where she used to live that had a small engine shop, and he did him for $4 a chain.
We're like, wow, inflation.
Well, that guy, whatever. Like the last one my dad had sharpened was there in Charleston.
Could your dad sharpen a chainsaw chain?
No.
Okay.
No, but like. He had
So,
like
it makes sense now because the old guys didn't have the internet to show them how to do it.
Right.
So it was like, why would I take my time to learn how to do this when I can do it for $3?
They don't have a library card to check out a book to learn how to sharpen a fucking chainsaw chain.
Turns out, yeah.
And then after being a Snap-on guy, I'd go to Tate Farm Equipment in Stewartson, and they would sharpen them for $4 a chain. And the guy that used to work there is retired now. I think he does them in his garage for...
Well, Barnes Equipment is $8.
Yeah, for $5 a chain or so. So anyway, I don't know. Depending on how many chains you got, it might be worth driving to Stewartson to get your chainsaw chains sharpened.
And turns out you only really have to sharpen them if you're a fucking asshole. Because I cut for 6 hours on the same chain.
So I was always told a chainsaw chain... unless you're cutting hedge.
How many people are listening to this right now just screaming at our misinformation?
Probably.
Wrong.
Listen, my dad said.
My daddy
says unless you're cutting hedge or some other kind of bushy tree that's real hard, a chainsaw chain will actually self-sharpen as you're cutting until once you dip it into the dirt one time, you're done. It's like instantly like dull beyond you. Like you couldn't even cut melted butter with that chain. If you just barely touch a freaking speck of dirt, you're done. Which there's probably a little truth in that situation, because I could definitely see how it does. Because I've cut up a log before. Like the last time I remember using a chainsaw to its like beyond its limit, there was like a 48-inch oak log in my backyard on Moultrie Street in Mattoon, and it was laying on its side, and I was just cutting the fuck out. Like my dad was like, cut this tree up, and I'm like, "Mrrr," and I cut like 4 or 5 cuts. Well, like I got where from the where it's up out of the dirt to where it's down in the dirt, and I'm just like, like down in the dirt. My dad comes out like, what the fuck are you doing? You have ruined it. Like you will never touch the bar of my chainsaw again. Like you have like insulted the chainsaw gods. You know what I mean? Like
weaved it into like a crown of thorns you had to wear to school and shit.
Yeah, just the ultimate insult to any chainsaw owner was digging it in the dirt, like using your chainsaw as a shovel, essentially. Like it's a trencher. It's a trencher at this point.
It looks the same. It looks similar.
It's just really small. It's a small trencher.
Oh my god. We thought you knew.
Yeah. Anyway, my biggest pet peeve, like not to go off the rails here, but any time I see a chainsaw bar upside down, it like my OCD like freaks out, like because they write their name of the saw manufacturer on the bar, right? And like a lot, like it doesn't really bother me that like there's probably some aftermarket Bentley style chainsaw bar that you can put on any brand of chainsaw, right? But like if you take it off, put a chain on, and you put the bar on upside down, like my OCD, like you have a steel chainsaw and I can't read that it's a steel bar. It's just bar on your.
That's pretty quick.
Like I can't stand it. If your bar is upside down on your chainsaw, you should get your chainsaw license revoked.
Well, first off, I don't even have time to tell you how wrong you are, but I'm going to have to, otherwise it's going to bother me.
Okay.
So they are made to be run each way.
Okay.
They're like tires on a car. You rotate them so you get even wear. That way, because you're always, in general, pushing down.
Yeah.
So you're only really wearing on one side.
Okay.
So you flip it. It's every fucking whatever, oil change or something.
On a two-stroke oil change.
Every time you got to replace the cam, you flip it. No, it's not the cam, it's the water pump. Oh, yeah. You flip it and you even your wear out. See? You get like double the life.
Okay, well then don't write on your fucking chainsaw bar. Just fucking make it white. If it's meant to be flipped upside down, don't write like one side. Write your name upside down.
Like
that way, at least one side's always right.
Sam's like, stupid idiot. Turns out it's like peak freaking knowledge.
Well, listen, anytime I see a chainsaw on somebody's workbench and it's like there's a Husqvarna upside down, like, fucking idiot. You don't even know which way your bar goes, fucking moron.
Oh, you probably fucking sharpen your shit with the Temu.
Yeah, the Temu fucking sharpener.
So it turns out the Harbor Freight, they got the sharpeners that are like they look like a miter saw.
Like a mini chop saw.
Yeah, they're like $300.
Yeah.
Well, the $34 Harbor Freight one has like 5 out of 5 star reviews. Like there's videos on YouTube. Everybody's like, this is nice.
Yeah, there's one, the one at Tate Farm Equipment is like a steel brand chainsaw blade sharpener, right? And it was like $1 million.
Yeah,
I'm sure they bought it as part of their steel dealership program. Probably had to have it. And the guy that used to work there, like it's still there at the dealership. They're not even a steel dealer anymore. But the guy who used to work there bought the $34 Harbor Freight one.
Okay.
Says it's just as good, if not better. Yeah.
Man, the incense hits whenever you stand up. There's
Yeah.
definitely more incense up high than down low.
There's the smoke.
Yeah, that
rises.
makes sense.
Smoke
But I hate
rises.
to smell your upstairs right now.
Yeah, well, Amanda's not here. I'll turn the fucking ozone machine on, then she'll be double pissed off.
I'm gonna make this stinky and then get rid of it.
Oh, those are about which flavor did you get?
Oh, I didn't realize
There's 4 different flavors, my guy.
Is this Baja Blast?
Well, I think they're all Baja Blast.
It is Baja Blast pineapple.
Okay, this is Baja Blast Punch, and it's good. So let me know what you think.
It's okay. I feel like you would get sick before you got drunk.
Okay, so not as good as the pineapple twisted tea.
It's just a carbonated version, almost, kind of.
Pretty much.
It's
Yeah.
good.
The Baja Blast Punch is very good. The original Baja, that's the first one I tried. It was really good. Just original Baja Blast.
Okay, the Baja.
The Baja.
So, yeah. So I've awakened that in me. All my days are... So then, like, you get into, like, well, you're only supposed to put an 18-inch bar on a MS 250. But there's aftermarket companies who sell up to a 32-inch bar for an MS 250. Now, I know what you're thinking, Sam. Why would I want to put too much bar? And that's good. That's a good question. And I can tell you're about to ask that. So when you have a longer bar and like you're doing firewood, like we do for my father-in-law, you don't have to bend over to cut wood that's near the ground. So you get a longer saw. But see, saw ain't got enough power. So they sell what's called a skip chain, I think. And
It's got half as many
teeth. So, and then it's like, so then like there's places that sell like flow masters for chainsaws, and they're all stainless steel, and they're like press brake,
like the expansion chamber style, like on like a
no.
Oh,
They look like a pack of cards, basically.
okay.
But there's a name brand from West Coast Saws called the Bark Box.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is what I. Anyway, I won't go there.
I'm thinking like the hot saws, like in the chainsaw competition that have like the 4-foot exhaust pipe coming off them like a 2-stroke.
So now this must be recent because I used to watch the hot saws when I was a kid all the time on ESPN, like the timber games.
Whee!
Yeah, wow, and man, that was back when I was drawing it all the time.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I could do this and be a fucking athlete, you know? So I just went on Instagram the other day and I just typed in hashtag hot saw.
Ooh, hashtag search.
Hashtag hot saw. So now there's dudes, I don't know if it's a class or what, but it must be like open or unlimited. I haven't looked into it that much.
Get back to us.
You have a chainsaw on one side of the bar, another chainsaw on the other side of the bar upside down, and 2 dudes run the same bar with 2 power heads, technical term.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Getting it fully.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So that was cool. And then you got the guys who have what are essentially like jet ski motors, they look like. Because it's 2-stroke. They're not air cooled. There's no fins.
Yeah.
And they got them on saws with big expansion chambers, and the exit exhaust is like the size of a dime.
That's wild shit.
Oh my gosh. It's a whole like vibe, and then it's just like, and then you can get into like the different techniques of how to cut trees, and you got like what's called like guide wood and like, or maybe it's steer wood, I'm not sure. And then you like cut your tree to where you have a trigger, and it's just like, I don't know. I want to.
It's a whole genre.
I mean,
it's a subculture.
I ran a chainsaw for 6 hours, my fucking bitch ass desk job and everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna be sorry for that the next day." No, I mean I was a little sore, but I want to do it every day.
Yeah.
Just to be out there. I mean, Ross calls sawdust man glitter, so
Okay. All right.
it was a good time. So
I know you could always tell the sharpness of your chain by the size of the chip it shoots out.
yes,
Like if you're
kinda like
if you're
machining,
shooting
yeah.
out sawdust, like your chain's roach. But if you're putting
Yeah.
out wood chips, like
Yes.
big enough to put in your pellet smoker, like
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
shit. Yeah.
And then, dudes have like videos like rate my chainsaw sharpening skills. And there's just like strips like 6 inches long. Everybody's like, don't change a thing, my guy.
You're doing it right. You're doing it right.
So that's been a new thing, I guess. So then, since my whole life is about cutting wood now, my father-in-law is getting older, and we cut down a hickory tree, is a dead hickory tree. And my brother-in-law and I, we're both like 34, 35 years old. We're like, we'll split this hickory tree up for you. Wrong.
Like by hand with
Yeah.
a splitting maul?
Yes.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Me and Tony split like 2 truckloads of wood. Like, it's not that bad if you take turns and, you're in the suffering and stuff. So it's a primal thing. Once you get doing it, you're just into it. So my father-in-law has a 310 John Deere backhoe. And I was like, there's gotta be a log splitter for this backhoe. So I type in like backhoe log splitter. And there's some people take the outrigger and take like the pad off of it and put a axe on there, split your wood with your outrigger. That's cool. You can kind of get like a rope tied to your handle in there or like a rod and just sit outside the backhoe, use your outrigger or your backhoe to split wood. Cause you don't have wood splitters are like, I thought they were like cheap. They're like expensive. They're like $2,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You can build one yourself for about 700,
And that's what we're doing.
or you can buy one used for like 500.
I don't know. I feel like they're more than that even. You can rent them from Renex, which is what it
Renex.
usually does. And it's one of those like, why spend $2,000 or like $800 to $2,000 on a log splitter when you can rent one for $120 for a whole weekend? Split all your wood for the whole year, and then oil changes and maintenance and every wear and tear is all on Renex.
So Tim Lindsay did that. He fell like 100 trees or something at his property, and then he like for $1,000 he rented like this Cadillac log splitter, and him, his son, and Gary like split 50 cords of wood. Like he had like 25 truckloads of wood just split in a weekend. And they went to his son's house and split another 20 truckloads or whatever. And that was kind of his thing. Like, why would I buy a log splitter when I can just rent one and get everything done for the year in one shot?
Mm-hmm. So I got to Googling it, and I don't know if I sent you this or
There's
not.
one for $400.
So we're going to build one for his backhoe that goes on the backhoe where the bucket goes. And instead of a thumb, it's a wedge. Instead of a bucket, it's like a piece of pipe. And you can lift it up. Because, see, the problem with most of your log splitters is you have to move the log to it. My father-in-law's mid-60s and got a hurt hip. So now he can just sit on his backhoe. You got this hickory we cut down is like 24 inches around. Like, we can't hardly even move the pieces we cut. And he'll be able to sit on his backhoe and split all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a guy on YouTube who built one that's super cool that I can send you the video. And he said that he kind of copied it from a patented deal. So he wasn't going to sell them or give it away. Well, in one of the videos, it goes past his blueprints. So I screenshotted that shit and stole it.
Hell yeah.
So thank you again, internet.
So the funny part of the story is Sam spent $50 on a tool to be able to facilitate making these parts on Dozer's Bridgeport, and come to find out it is literally free from the laser cutting people to have the bores bored to a specific diameter.
Basically, it's pretty reasonable.
Basically, you couldn't even pay for the electricity to run the Bridgeport for what these people wanted to make the holes the right size. So, super long story short, it's going to get done professionally, and then we have a tool to play with in our free time.
Like, it was so reasonable. I messaged them and was like, "Are you sure this is correct?"
All I want to do is
Holy
split these great big
cow.
fire rounds that are too big to split by hand. I thought maybe
Hold on
my
a second.
backhoe could be a giant wood splitter. So after discovering
I'm gonna send this to Samuel.
What do you want me to do? You've already sent it to me.
Oh, so you know what I'm talking about? Why did you let me
yeah,
get in
because
this?
you said, "Hey, how hard would it be to bore these holes?" And I'm like, "What are these holes for?"
Okay, sorry.
And you're like,
Sorry, I've been
"Slip fit for
drinking."
this pin." And I was like,
Okay.
like Quanto Cuesta, por favor. And you're like, "This is what I'm building." And I'm like, "I'm on board." And then I spent $72 on a fucking tool on Amazon that was here in 3 days. And then you're like, "So I was pricing out the metal." And I was like, by chance, what would it cost for you to cut these shapes for me? Even though I own a plasma table and can do it myself. And they're like, "Oh, we'll do it for basically free if you buy the metal." And he's like, "Okay, well, I need these holes cut undersized so I can bore them to this diameter." And they quoted you actually boring them on a milling machine basically for $5 fucking dollars.
Essentially.
And you're like, "All right, fucking get it done."
Yeah.
So now we don't have to cut them. Don't have to cut them or machine them at your house.
Exactly. So, well, my table will cut 3/4 inch, but it won't pierce it. So we'd have to like drill all the pierce points, and it was just easier just to make it happen.
Just write the check.
Because Ross
Just write a check.
so my plasma cutter is 65 amps.
Yes.
Ross's plasma cutter is 400 amps.
Yes.
So
Probably 483 phase.
yeah, exactly. The lights at the school in town dim when they kick that bitch on. And I cut with shop air. They cut with compressed, like, tanks.
Like CO2?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, fancy. So that's been talking about wood and chainsaws quite a bit. So another thing, I don't know if you have anything new or not. How deep are we into this?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
An hour 30.
I don't know how to segue into this, but
Just jump in.
It's been something that's been on my mind, and my wife thinks I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, she's not wrong.
Okay, well, I am down here doing a podcast, burning fucking incense, drinking gas station discount liquor, so she might be on to something. But I've listened to some podcasts, and like with Bert Kreischer and Joe Rogan and stuff, and they talk about the process, the skill of becoming a good comedian.
Okay.
And you can say a joke different ways and make it better.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like testing it to us, kind of like tuning the carb on.
Oh, yeah.
And I have always truly felt like I'd be a good comedian if I put some good work into it.
I second that motion.
And a lot of comedy is storytelling, and I feel like I'm a good storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
And
No, angry, I swear.
exactly. And there's some, and I just think I could be a comedian. My wife thinks I'm the biggest idiot ever. She thinks she is hilarious.
So
But
that is a woman's job, is to think that her man is the dumbest person on the planet.
okay.
And I am fully subscribed to that idea. Like
How does
every woman I know thinks her husband is the dumbest human being alive. And I don't know if that's like a self-preservation tactic.
Yeah, how does that work evolutionary wise?
I don't know. Maybe that like instills the protective instinct of the female.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like my man that provides me with food, shelter, and children
Is a moron.
is an idiot. So I need to make sure that nothing can get to him that I can control in my circle, right?
I don't know.
Like, and basically fight off the other females from getting to my incompetent man.
Because they might get him and I might get a worse one. I don't know.
Anyway, continue.
I don't know. So
You're gonna be a comedian. You're gonna start doing open mic nights.
I'm like, what we need to do is like, I ought to do a bit for our podcast. So I was like, no, that don't work because like it needs to be, you need to have an audience, because like if you don't laugh at something on this podcast, then it's just not going to be funny and there's not going to be much of a vibe. Like half of what makes the stupid shit I say funny is you laughing.
Right. Okay.
And sometimes I like say something, I'm like, and you don't laugh because you're fucking on your phone looking at log splitters.
But then when we go back and I listen to it, I have to pause it because I'm like crying in my truck. I'm like, I didn't hear Dozer even say that.
So
Anyway,
thank God they put a fucking phone in the kitchen of that place.
that was one of the funniest you've said in recent history.
So,
Thank God they put a phone in the kitchen of the fucking ignition timing place. Anyway, continue.
so I asked Lauren, I was like, do they have any open mic nights around here? Do you know? And she's like, you're an idiot. Like, don't ever talk to me again. Because me and her watch comedy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I enjoy, like, Bert Kreischer is funny because he doesn't have a lot of dirty stuff and he tells stories about his family. And I literally have a bit on this show called Shit Wyatt Says.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, Bert Kreischer, he's like, everything, all my jokes are loosely based
On reality.
on reality, but he's like, I fucking adjust accordingly.
Right.
And I love doing that shit. I love
and then
embellishing.
and the more you tell it, I can add this or subtract that, and like you can refine the story to
Right.
make it
And
even
so,
more
like-
funny.
So like when I'm juicing a story up for Sam, and then my wife goes, that's not exactly what happened. It just kills it.
It
But
doesn't
when I'm
matter.
on stage, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Like that could have been totally what happens. And
love
guess what?
embellishing.
It was funny. So I give a fuck what the truth. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good fucking story.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So when you like, I will be there with bells on. When's the next open mic
I
night?
don't know. I don't even have a bid. I need to get content. or
Start
material.
fucking writing it down. So if you listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, like that's what he talked, like getting his start, like you fucking go,
Reps.
yeah, you go to these comedy clubs and you do these open mics and you just refine your craft as you progress in your career.
Sharpening a chainsaw chain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just takes practice. You finally get a feel for it.
And like you said, like you just you're like, and then I slapped him on the ass. Cricket. Okay, I don't fucking tell it that way anymore. And then I fucking punched him in the face and then slapped him on the ass. Like, okay, that's how we tell the story next time.
So Bert Kreischer I listened to a podcast, I think he was on with Joe Rogan. It doesn't matter. But he said the biggest thing he learned, he's like, you got to let people know when it's over so they can laugh. And
Okay,
you got to
all right.
like, there's got to be, because he tells the story about the machine.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
He's changed the ending of that because like the first time he told it, like nobody laughed. They're like, and then what? But it was over.
Yeah.
And he's like, I had to adjust how I delivered the end so they knew the story was over.
Right.
And because, it ends with, bitch, this is Russia. He's like, that didn't happen. He's like, I had to put that in there so people knew the story was over.
story's
so
done, yeah.
you could laugh. So and I feel like tying in stuff you say at the beginning, tying it like in through, you know what I mean? It's just, there's like an art to it. There's a skill. And I feel like with some practice, I could do this.
Yeah.
So,
I'm here for it, dude.
Yeah.
I if no one else will support you in your adventure to become
no,
a
this
comedian.
isn't like me trying to talk you into buying a Comanche in Kansas, right? It's like, hey, you should do this. I can't believe you fucking did it. What an idiot.
What a fucking idiot.
Stupid.
Why did we do that?
It was a good idea.
It was gonna fast track the Comanche at Jason's, but now I just have two Comanches.
On slow track. Daily. So I don't know how to get the ball rolling. I've been thinking about this for probably a year.
Okay. All right.
And Larry's like, what are you going to do for a living? Be a comedian? I was like, I would love to. Like, some of these guys make pretty decent money.
And that's what, so Amanda refuses to listen to this podcast.
Okay.
And I'm like, one day Spotify is going to call me.
Damn, you got it going over there now. I can smell it big time.
And Spotify's going to call me and they're going to be like, can we be the exclusive distribution network for your podcast? And I'm like, all right, give me $1 million a year. And she's like, all right. People are going to walk up to me and be like, hey, I know your husband. He does the Sam Derrickson podcast, blah, blah, blah. And she'd be like, good for him. I have not listened to a single fucking episode. Like, well, all right, well. Turns out we have like 10 people that listen, and we just do this for our own entertainment.
So maybe I'll put some bits together. See, the problem is you can't test because there's no feedback.
No instant feedback.
No instant feedback.
No instant feedback. Yeah, the podcast is not the platform to develop your
I don't
comedy
think
crap.
so. I had thought about it, but
You can still do shit Wyatt says because I'll laugh.
yeah, I don't have any of that written down really either. So
Did he say anything recently
I
that
don't think he has. No, he's kind of mellowed out, I guess. I think
tell him to fucking step his game
I
up?
think he's realized I started writing this shit down. Talk about it on the internet. It kind of pisses him off.
Like, are you telling your friends about me, Dad?
Told you not to tell the internet about my stupidity.
He used to have some zingers, man.
yeah,
He used to fucking do it upright.
But like that's just how I just feel like with the kids, and you can kind of take something that happened and like, man, it'd been so much funnier if it had happened like this and just tell it like that, and
Yeah.
it'd just be hilarious.
Who's gonna know?
Yeah.
Who's gonna know?
My
It's your
wife,
story.
because she would be at the stand. I'm like, it didn't happen like that. He's lying. Quit lying to your friends.
Just don't invite her.
Done. Someone's gonna watch the kids.
Yeah, that's right.
But like my main thing is like I listen to Joe Rogan's Netflix special. Super dirty, super sexual, super dirty. And I'm not against that. I'll laugh at a dick sucking joke. That's not below me at all.
Okay.
But I just feel like some of the cleaner ones I just find a lot funnier. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Like there's the Nate guy. I forgot what his name is, but he talks about like his wife. He asked her what time she's leaving, and
I don't know which one you're talking about.
oh, he's like my wife. We're flying to Florida. He's like, I was doing a comedy thing. She was at home. And I was like, what time are you leaving? And she said noon. And it was like 11 o'clock or something. He's like, I don't know if you know this, but like, even if the airplane was in our driveway, I don't think you're going to make it.
Right.
And she's like, well, no, I'm leaving the house at this time. That the plane leaves at noon. And he's like, okay, so what did you think I was asking when I asked you what time you were leaving? And she's like, well, sorry, I don't talk the way you want me to talk. He's like, I just want you to talk like a human being. And he's like, so yeah.
Talk like a man.
So we went on vacation and we didn't talk, that's for sure, or something like that. And it's just, that's hilarious. There's no perversion, no, talking about.
Because it's reality.
Yeah.
Because men and women speak different languages for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like Amanda and I had an argument, like whatever, Sunday morning about like the dumbest bullshit about what was in the refrigerator. And like, I'm trying to say one thing and she's saying the exact same thing a different way. And we're yelling at each other over a fucking piece of asparagus. And like, what did you think I was going to say? Like, what did you think I was going to, like, we're screaming at the top of our lungs over some dumb bullshit
There's so
because
many times I'm like, hey, hold on a second. I think we're arguing for the same thing.
Right, exactly.
So many times.
And like you said, like doesn't have to be dirty. Like some of the hardest I've laughed has been over the dumbest shit. Like Nate Thompson, like the greatest philosopher of our time, Shaquille O'Neal. Like I still fucking laugh about that. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be dirty to be funny. It can just be funny.
Oh my goodness. And with you, me and you have the same like internet nerd meme, like stage 3 meme.
Yes.
Tier 3 type stuff. So like I can find a situation and say some random bullshit.
Merry Chrysler.
Yeah, and you just know what I'm talking about. And it's hilarious to you, but it's not funny to anybody. And I know too, like when you're doing this comedy thing, like there can't be any inside jokes because
exactly
everybody's on the outside.
Yeah, you can't say rim tire and everybody laughs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be a problem. So like along the lines of that Nate Thompson thing, that it's funny that audiobook I was listening to, the Sentence to War series, like they refer to like ancient times, right? So like this is 1,500 years in the future. And they're talking like that would be like us talking about fucking ancient Egypt, right? Because like they're talking about like the ancient philosopher Mike Tyson. He they talk about like every good plan ends after the first punch. That was a quote from the ancient philosopher Mike Tyson or whatever. like way men. Like they throw like little nuggets of that in, like contemporary quotes are now ancient folklore because it's so far in the future or whatever. But like the greatest philosopher of our time, Shaquille O'Neal. looked pretty flat to me.
Oh
shit.
my goodness.
So I think of like an open mic night of like a coffee shop thing. So like the only coffee shop in town is Joe Sippers, right? Like as far as coffee shops.
But I mean, there's like bars probably do some open mic night. Surely, maybe.
I don't know. And if they do, I've never been a part of one. You know what I mean? I've never been in.
And what happens if you like show up and it's just all like
hipsters
or like old people in a retirement party or something? Like, oh no, I don't know.
I don't have any content for this.
AARP, am I right? It just kills. You're like, oh, I didn't see this coming. You like somehow get into like this niche of geriatric comedy.
So my fucking grandson, he got his Tesla car in my driveway, and he wants to plug it into my outlet for free. Can you believe that?
It's gonna cost you a wheat penny, boy.
Turns out I'm telling jokes at nursing homes for the rest of my life.
Pays the bills.
It's ain't much, but it's honest work.
That's right.
Oh, fuck.
Shit. Yep. One thing I like about nursing home is I get older and they stay the same age.
God damn it. Oh, shit.
So I'm not putting any effort into it, but I feel like it's something that could be a thing.
As much as your wife is not on board, I am equally on board.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like, I was going to part out tractors as another job, but I think I just might tell jokes and.
Well, I mean, how's that going? I thought you said like the market's kind of cooled off on that.
Well, in this time of the year, as I was telling, no matter who I was telling, I just had this conversation recently that, excuse me, this time of the year, if your lawnmower breaks, you just push that fucker in the shed. This is a next year problem.
It's just, yeah.
So about November to March, tractor markets, at least the ones I deal in, is pretty much dead.
Okay.
You got a few guys who are doing like winter projects, but
I would have thought the opposite. See, like an antique tractor, like my grandpa gave me this John Deere 400. Like, I'm going to take this winter and I'm going to make a nice tractor out of it. That's kind of where my head was at. But you're saying it's more like, I don't have shit to mow with this summer. Like in March, like grass is growing now. I need to get a muffler on this John Deere 400 today.
I feel like how do I want to say this? The guy who's restoring his grandpa's tractor is buying new parts for it. I sell used parts.
Okay.
I'm selling to the guy who uses an old tractor because they don't fucking make them like this no more.
Okay.
And I'm going to have me a tractor that I can work on and get parts for. And
made in America.
That's right.
Back when John Deere stood for something.
That's right. Before they sent everything to Mexico. And so I think those are the guys buying used parts more than the restore guys.
Okay.
The restore guys will buy a used part that's not available.
Aftermarket. Okay.
But my experience has been from about November to February, it's pretty dead. And then about March, it'll just take off because people are like, oh, grass is going to start growing. You know what I mean? And, you get the tax returns hit and all that jazz. So, I still enjoy it. I really like talking to the people, if that makes sense.
You sent me one today. Is this still available? Yes, I am not interested. Typical Facebook Marketplace.
I know it's hard to you can easily accidentally hit the "is this available" button.
Yeah.
I get it. Just ghost me.
Yeah.
Don't be a fucking asshole. Anyway, yeah.
Will not respond to "is this available?"
Yes, I do like talking to tractor people. I had a guy come the other day, bought a tractor off of me, and some of these tractors do mean a lot to people.
Sure.
And this guy, he had his grandpa had a tractor, a 400, and there's 400s for sale everywhere, but he was looking for a 400 with the different stripe down the side, which I've probably tractor autism ranted to you about the different stripes.
The first 3 years or whatever had the solid versus this.
Right, and the muffler, the exhaust went off the front instead of the side. And he's like, I found all kinds. I could not find one like this. And he's just like,
You've got it.
he's got it. And he was happy. He's just like, man, this is amazing. You know what I mean? I've been looking, and you're only 30 minutes from my house, and it's a dream come true. And it's like, get this piece of shit out of my driveway.
Made that guy's day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And man, the at-home forklift. The first time I hit tractors hard, I didn't have a forklift. That sucked. With the at-home forklift, I could just totally redo the game.
So I'll tell you. So Amanda and I have been in the market for a house or a property to build a house, whatever. Because of you, at-home forklift is on my life goal. Like, I probably won't have one nearly as big as yours.
Well, you
But-
never will, my guy. You know what I'm saying?
But if I could have a propane powered, like, Toyota, gray and orange, like 2005 ish with 40,000 hours, something that like doesn't leak a lot, it might rev a little high, it might burn a little oil, but just a rugged, like a 6,000 pounder that can just get the job done. And like I in my mind's eye, like I'm envisioning like a whole wall in my house that is all pallet racking.
Oh yeah.
And I've
Cummins
got
engines and
I've
stuff.
got Cummins over here. I've got Mopar body parts over here, Mopar engine parts over here, and everything is categorized and palletized and on this pallet racking. Like in my mind, I am like the most organized person you can think of.
Yes.
But like if you go in my garage right now, like I got shit fucking
Well, because you don't have
everywhere.
pallet racks or a forklift.
That's right. If I had pallet racking in a forklift, that shit would be organized as a motherfucker.
It's something. I've got a little pallet racking, just a little bit, and your shit's on it. So I can confirm you would love pallet racking because you're using mine.
Yeah, I have it in several places with my shit on it. So
Did you ever blow fogging oil in your Hellcat engine?
no, I messaged Boss Man, told me to do it, and he said that sounds like a great idea. And that's
There
as
you
far
are.
as that went.
Okay.
I did get
Your reaction to what size is the crank bolt? I sent you the picture like shit.
I've been spending a little money on my daily drivers. So since the last podcast, I have brand new headlight housings in my Jeep with LED bulbs. I have brand new LED bulbs in the Volkswagen. I have brand new not WeatherTech, Husky liners in the Cummins. I have in like right next to you, I have LED headlights for the Dodge. I got to pull the headlights out to replace headlights. Thanks, Dodge.
Just some kind of
Appreciate that.
adapter for those.
No, so I bought the LED headlights with the, I don't know, the resistor, whatever it takes to shut the light off on the dash for the Volkswagen. And I bought the same ones for the Dodge. But they wouldn't fit in the housing. Like the whole thing was wrong. And I emailed them. I was like, hey, do you take returns, whatever? And they're like, no, we'll take them back, but you can just buy these $5 adapters and make them work. I'm like, all right, well, if you type, it's an H7 bulb, they have 17 different adapters for an H7 bulb. I bought both Volkswagen adapters. I knew the ones I needed, and they're on the car now. And I was like, for another $4. Like I'll get those just in case, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what those are. They're trash.
Okay.
If you want them, you can have them.
I don't want them.
But for Christmas, I got new seat covers for the Dodge. I got a new steering wheel cover for the Dodge. I've got on the way, I have a factory airbox. So fun fact, Keith Meyer in T-Town, he sells Dodge parts because he buys Copart Dodges all the time, parts them out, whatever. He's who I got my tailgate and bumper from when I put the truck bed on my flatbed truck. But I was like, hey, Keith, I need a factory airbox. Like, surely you got one. He's like, actually, we don't. I have a waiting list for factory airboxes because every Dodge Cummins that I buy from Copart has a cold air intake on it. Well, my truck doesn't have a cold air intake. It just has one of those big ass fucking Caterpillar filters on the factory intake hose. So off of eBay, I have a factory airbox coming that I can run a factory filter in. Got new LED headlights. Like I am making that truck. Like Kyle put a spray and bed liner in it. Like it's gonna be
that's nice. Yeah,
it's gonna be a nice truck here before too long.
I like that truck.
I do too. And I was talking to a customer the other day. He bought not a brand new, but a new to him diesel truck. You know, $40,000 truck. Where I was like, man, this is nice. Like I like it. And he's selling his old as a Ford guy. He's got like the 2017 dually Ford King Ranch, all the things. Like it's a nice truck. Like not much of a Ford guy, but those King Ranches, like they are nice. And he was putting fuel in his old 7.3 dually. Basically the same truck. Like it's a Lariat, you know, it's the top of the line in 99, which is, you know, nothing compared to 2017. And, he was like, you know, I'm going to sell this thing or whatever. I got to do this or get it ready for selling. And he's like, I wouldn't even have bought a new truck. Like this 7.3 pulls my flatbed trailer. You know, he's a tractor puller. He pulls a tractor puller and tractor. It pulls my tractor everywhere I need to go, but I just got spoiled. Like I'd ride with these guys in their brand new trucks. I was like, they are nice. The heated seat. He said, I'm at the age now. He's in his 70s. Like I need the heated seat for my hurt back more than I need it for the warmth, you know? And he's like the heated seats, this. Like I just got really spoiled by these, you know, these new trucks. And I'm like, you know, them are nice. And I was hot to trot on a new diesel truck for myself. You know, a newer one. Like I was going to buy Kyle Willenberg's mega cab, but then I let my dad borrow my truck and he put his dog in the back seat, covered it in dog hair, spilled coffee all over the cup holder. That's a $6,000 diesel truck. Like, well, big whoop. You know what I mean? Like no big deal. But if he did that in my $40,000 diesel pickup truck, I'd have a freaking conniption.
Kind of like my brother throwing up hot dog.
Exactly. Long story. So like I'm just totally content with this paid for diesel truck in my driveway that I don't ever drive. Like if I hauled shit for a living, like if I spent some serious time in that truck, it'd be a little different story. But like I legitimately use it 5 or 6 times a year.
Right.
So I don't need a nice diesel truck. And then when my dad borrows it, I'm not upset when he gets it dirty or tears it up or whatever. Like whatever. So I've been spending a little extra cash on making that truck just a nicer version of what it already is, I guess. So,
yeah, and I'm on the same program with mine. I put 2,500 miles a year on my truck.
right.
Like I don't need a nice fancy truck. Like
And yours is arguably nicer than mine.
yeah.
It's a mega cab.
Like yours has a different feel to it though. And I don't know if it's a 5.9. I feel like yours steers easier.
Okay.
And I have a steering wheel cover, and I just like, you don't have a cover on yours, do you? Maybe you do.
I did. It was like a big, gaudy, thick thing, and now I've got a thinner one on it.
Yeah, I just like the feel of when I drove it, it felt different than mine.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it, but I kind of like the way that 5.9 feels, at least, you know, putzing around the fairground picking up
Yeah.
parts. You know,
It sounds different.
on a long trip, it's kind of nice to have the 6.7. It's a little quieter.
Yeah, it's not as drony.
Yeah, and it's smoother, but
Which
has
I
more
need to put
power.
that tailpipe of yours on my truck too. So
Yeah, it's sitting there. But all right, let's wrap this project up.
are we done?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm over this. I told my wife I'd watch Landman tonight with her, so
So we started that
that's
last
good
night.
shit, isn't it?
So we're 1.7 episodes in, and I am hooked.
Mm-hmm.
She was ready for bed, but
Billy Bob Thornton's pretty good.
so is he a fucking alcoholic in real life?
Oh no,
Because every fucking show he's in, he's a goddamn alcoholic,
I guess.
and he smokes like a chimney. And like I'm,
My favorite part. I can't drink. He's like, give me an Ultra. I can't drink. Ultra has alcohol in it. He's like, I'll fucking drink 6 of these Ultras and I'll come back tomorrow night and drink 6 whiskeys. You tell me if there's a difference or something. I just love it.
like I was cracking like some of the shit he says. Like I was cracking up, and we're in bed, we're watching TV, and I'm fucking laughing,
It's just so funny.
trying to be quiet. And she's like, "What the fuck are you laughing?" I was like, "That was a good one." Like his one-liners is like, that is fucking good.
I'm sure she would. Yeah, I'm sure she'd rather go curl her cuticles back with a screwdriver than continue this conversation. You know, stuff like that.
Just little fucking one-liners. I'm like, God damn, dude, like that's a good one. So
What did we learn?
I learned that Dozer has chainsaw autism.
Mm-hmm. Some people have the train, and I've got chainsaw and muzzleloader.
We make podcasts for middle-aged white women, no longer car people.
Oh, sorry, everybody.
That was an unfortunate turn of events.
Did not see that coming.
Chainsaw bars are meant to be flipped upside down,
No matter what Sam says.
no matter what I say. And restoration tractor guys do not buy used parts.
Okay.
What'd you learn?
I learned blue collar guys' picture rolls are all of their work.
Okay.
Late model cars need OE thermostats. Taco Bell transition something apple something.
Caramel apple empanada?
Yeah, something like that. It's 8:30 in Indiana.
Not anymore. It's fucking 10:30, 10:12.
The library is the only worthwhile government program.
That's probably true.
And Sam is a nerd now.
Always have been.
Here's my chainsaw drawing for. I'll do it a little better for the.
Do you want to like find an old one to send me, or do you want to do one right now and draw it?
I feel like I don't. I'm
All right,
gonna
I'll
do
tell you
one.
what.
I'm gonna do one in case I can't find one.
All right, so you take the entire outro song to do this drawing, and then we'll reconvene afterwards. But-
Okay.
So this recording is after Christmas and before New Year's. So guys, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's.
Merry Christmas, Merry
If you're-
Chrysler.
If you're still listening, thanks for riding along with us.
Right. Have a
And
Happy New Year.
we will see you on the next one, guys.
See you in 25.
Sad news. Oh, what a Christmas to have the blues. My baby's gone. I have no friends who wish me greeting once again. Choirs will be singing Silent Night, Christmas carol by candlelight. Please come home for Christmas. Please come home for Christmas. If not for Christmas, by New Year's night, friends and relations send salutations. Sure as the stars shine above. Well, this is Christmas. Yes, Christmas, my dear. It's the time of year to be